gentlemen, Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
If you're ready to talk, we're ready to listen.
Well, I really enjoyed this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Trust and pray you had a wonderful weekend. I know it's still a lot of sadness and difficulty being faced by many of us, and boy, today is going to be extremely difficult to put on a happy face. So our prayers go to the family, and invite you to call and share your thoughts with us nonetheless. Do our very best to be a part of it, uplift, empower, encourage, and nurture. It's going to be open line, and we invite you to call and share your thoughts. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village. Convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. And Royal Fidelity Bank and Trust. Money at work.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email Talk Today at candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255.
Courtesy of Flow.
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon, welcome back, and thanks for joining us. As we invite you to be a part of today's discussion, it's going to be open line, and not by default, but by design. As we invite you to call and share a thought or two, we want to invite you to be a part of what is unfolding that will affect us all. Not always equally, but certainly to some extent. We're all impacted by what happens, whether we are in the driver's seat or whether we are standing somewhere, not even in the stadium, unknown to us, things are transpiring on the field. And oftentimes, we got to recognize that if we're not helping to influence the agenda certainly is being caught by others, and that impact may not be what we want. So let's come to the table. Let's ensure that we are active participants, informed, involved, engaged, and prepared to do our part to make sure that we make it better for all of us. 8949-837, 1-800-534-8255, or you can WhatsApp 925-3261. Questions always asking, what is in a name? Do words matter? What are the implications of our actions? And sometimes we fail to appreciate our inactions. Commission and omission sometimes don't necessarily seem to be one and the same, but maybe they are. What is your thought? We don't need to get pensive. We don't need to sort of become provocative, but at the very least, we should be proactive. What do you say? A penny saved is a penny earned. Ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure. All those little adages sadly have become cliches. Things that our ancestors lived by, things that we ourselves probably know, recognize, but somehow, even though we recall, we fail to apply to our own lives. Would it make us better? We often heard, and I've repeated it because I've taken it on as another mantra, to thine own self be true. Well, can we actively and honestly step forward doing what it is that we know to be best? If in our own hearts and minds we are ill-equipped, ill-prepared, lacking courage and conviction to step up, maybe it is the office holder that we don't necessarily agree with, but because of the position, the person, the power, the prestige, or even, in some case, the pay, we fail to challenge and have a say as to what should transpire. Maybe we'll revisit that thought in a second, but let's go to our phones. Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon, Dwayne.
Hey, Mr. Amjad, how are you today, sir?
I'm alright.
Sounds like a good song,
I
man.
want to see Radio Cayman, change the talk show host of the morning.
Why?
Because he is biased.
In what sense?
In what sense? He always, whenever I call and say something about the PPM party, he always wants to cut me off.
Well, is it because then maybe your contribution isn't fitting, maybe through his experience and expertise?
Listen, whatever my opinion is about the PPM party, he should be not, if he is, because I know he is member of PPM, I know he is one-sided, always advocate for PPM, and I think it is time for this government, to do something about this controlling of the morning talk show in the Radio Cayman by the PPM party.
Yeah, I don't
to remove
right.
remove O.C. O'Connor
So Amjad, before you go, right? I don't want you to be put off with that point. So maybe we can revisit that, but maybe we can talk to it from the perspective of the policy and the principle as opposed to the person and the like. But let me just ask you: we'll come back to government and public sector, but what about the private sector? What if in the private sector there was a radio station, a television station, a newspaper, or some other sort of media? I use the word loosely, deliberately for you, right? Outlet. What if that entity was in existence and it was either pro-government or anti-government, pro-Cayman or anti-Cayman? What would be your perspective?
I give you example about the private media.
Uh-huh.
We start by the Cayman Compact. The Cayman Compact during the election time was one-sided.
But that's your opinion, right? That is your opinion, right? So can we speak maybe, because your opinion is probably shared by others, it may be not so, but not to take away from what you want to say, but let's see if as a people, and I say this because I don't want to offend anybody, no, it's a Monday, let's speak to principles and policies as opposed to people. So, and I'll happy to say if John is in a position and John is not equipped, train John or get rid of him, right? Whether John is the chief executive in the government, whether that's premier, prime minister, president, or governor, or John is the guy at the private company, or he's just a new hire. But let's speak to the principle and the positions, the personalities aside. So, private sector entity. Yes, sir.
If we look at the newspaper, the only newspaper in Cayman, tell me one day, which day since this newspaper been taken over by Leggy and then after, I don't know, somebody else.
Yeah, fair enough.
And you look at the videos, the campus now doing some interviews, interviews. And if you notice, those interviews is directed to attack certain person. And we know who is this person. Is the Speaker of the House. Previously used to be Speaker of the House, and now with the new election.
Still is, yeah. So even so, it's identified. Okay, go ahead. So
they are taking sides. The media should be fair. Say the two sides of story, not one side.
Right. Okay.
Story. So we don't. The problem in Cayman, we don't really have free media.
So how do we address that then? How do we fix that?
Fix that by bringing law to protect the journalists who write in. For example, if he writes against the government, should be protected. If he writes support the government in the same time, he should be the journalist, like talk show host, journalist, whatever. He needs to be in the middle, not taking no side.
Impartial.
For example, how many times I've been cut off from the talk show host? I'm not saying you would do it.
No. I know to whom.
I'm just saying, like, for example, a long time, I used to be, attacked by the talk show host, speak about myself, attack me personal by talk show host. It happened in Rooster. It happened in other radio station It's the problem of the media. It needs a new rules, a new government, but new set of laws.
But remember,
to be an entity responsible about the media.
Right.
It's completely separate from the control of any government, political
right.
government.
So let me then ask you then two things on a personal level. Whenever you feel aggrieved, utilize the facilities and avenues that are available to you relative to maybe the Human Rights Commission, the Complaints Commissioner, and the like, in order to ensure that you're treated fairly, that your human rights and your liberties aren't being impinged. But secondly, maybe use the fact that you are willing to be so courageous and vocal to galvanize the people to champion just causes, so that people understand that they have to exercise within a democracy these freedoms that we enjoy, so that today it's not just you who may be feeling the pinch, but tomorrow it's not somebody else, right?
When I just want to ask you, you mentioned the Complaint Commissioner. You mentioned, when last time any civil servant been punished by the Complaint Commissioner or by the Ombudsman or whatever?
Ombudsman, yeah.
Yeah. When last time you hear about any Caymanian get justice by those?
I guess that is...
When last time?
Yeah, man. And that is a question that maybe when we ask it, maybe we can widen the scope and say, what about the wider community, public and private sector? Are there people in society that we look at, or they themselves believe that they can do what they want with impunity? And maybe if that is the case, then we probably need to rethink our approach to justice, right?
I mean, if we look at the Human Rights Commission, all they do is fighting fighting for the LGBT community. Maybe that's their duty to do. But
well,
what is the case? Tell me one case.
Mhm.
Different subject.
right.
When the last time the Human Rights Commission speak about anything belong and support?
Mhm. But see, you have a point, right? But maybe, if I can just interject, maybe it is the perception partly because of the level of engagement and organization that certain entities, certain people have. Maybe why we don't see enough of an organized, concerted sort of effort is because we haven't unified on a common cause. I'm just, always engage you respectfully. Let me just pause, take a break, call or two in the queue. We want to join them. It's open line. And if you got a comment or a thought, whether you agree or disagree, hey, we want to hear from you, man. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Funky Tangs, home of electronics and more. Funky Tanks turns 51 and counting. And they are not only blowing out candles, they are having a blowout anniversary sale. From May 14th through May 29th. Stop by both locations on Shedden Road and in Countryside, Savannah and enjoy 10 to 75% off selected items. Funky Tanks has your electronics, car audios, speakers, laptops, musical instruments, and a whole lot more. There will be store-wide giveaways during the sale. Funky Tanks open 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday to Thursday and 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. on Fridays and Saturdays. For more information, call 949-0998. Happy anniversary! Funky Tanks anniversary sale from May 14th through May 29th.
So why is a computer so smart? Because it has a motherboard.
Mother's Day is coming up. Do the smart thing. Stop by Savannah Pharmacy with a beautiful collection of bags and beauty products or housewares for outdoor dining. Make the smart decision. Get all your Mother's Day purchases at Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village or call 946-3336. Mom would be proud.
King Sports Center takes pride in being more than just an ordinary gymnasium. For 14 years, their multi-purpose facility has been providing the community with a variety of sporting, recreational, and relaxation activities. King Sports Center has a bowling alley, lounge bar, multi-purpose rooms, powerhouse gym, rock climbing wall, bungee jumping, a 10,000 square foot rink, and so much more. For more information on their variety of services, call their friendly staff today at 946-5464 or email kings@canbw.ky or visit www.kingsportscenter.com. King Sports Center, your one-stop shop for fitness, recreation, and relaxation.
Student registration for the 2021-2022 academic school year is open to the public from 8th April to 30th June 2021. Students must now be registered online at schools.edu.ky. Parents will have the ability to enter their student information and securely upload all relevant documents. If you need assistance, please contact the Department of Education Services at 945-1199 or email edu.registration@gov.ky.
But I do have some questions.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back and thanks for joining us. It is open line here on this Monday edition of Talk Today as we go straight to our phones. Hey, welcome. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon, Sterling.
Good afternoon. How are you today?
Sterling?
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy, I kind of alright. Glad to be alive. Sterling, I just want to say to you that I don't want you to think for 1 second that I hate this man that called the station. Okay? But Sterling, when he gonna call and they take our Caymanian off our radio station when he's a looking job at Caymanians? Now you tell me the logic in that. Because you can't have your way when you call the stations. Sterling?
Yes, ma'am.
We got people here, billionaires, that got businesses and fancy homes and fancy cars, and they don't call the radio station. They ain't got no time because they're too glad to say that they have come to the Caymans to live and they live in comfortable because they have everything at their beck and call with the helpers and their money in the bank and whatever, right? But when you can get some people that come here that can't even contribute to the island and want to run them out, it makes some nerves in me just feel that I want to just fly off like a gun. But Sterling, like I said, I will hit this individual, but sometimes, really and truly, he's out of place. And I don't know where his logic comes from, so he can say the things that he says. And I have come to the conclusion, is because he has the opportunity to call the radio station, he is taking it and he's talking because in the first thing I said freedom of speech, and you all can't cut him down and you all can't take him off permanently because there is no law that you can take him off and all that kind of yakety. So Sterling, I was going to call you right because I'm here. I'm just at the airport to get my last stick, and they got 110 people up here in line. But I believe my age would override all of them.
There you go.
So I'm going to go and see what I can do for my age.
Okay, listen, before you disconnect, Would you just quick? I had your number, and for some reason I'm not seeing it now, right? Would you give the gentleman before you hang up your number so I can call you, pass along a message?
Sure.
Okay, don't disconnect. We're gonna just change callers, go from you to the next.
I hope you're not sending message to say I'm with you, man.
No, ma. I will call you after, and I
Yeah, can I take some money and get it?
Okay, all right. I'll ask Paul to take the number.
Yeah, and I'll probably call you back later too.
Yeah,
All right?
not a problem. All right, thanks, Mr. John. Good. All right, while he does that, let's take the other caller. Welcome. Good afternoon. Hello. Good afternoon. Better start this.
No, I'm still here.
You still there? Okay. Well, men, we do multitask well apparently. So let's try what we can do. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. Hello. All right, we'll figure this out at some point.
Hello.
Hey, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. Sound a bit muffled.
You as well. Let's try something better. How is that? No better?
I can understand you now at least.
Well,
Can
if
you hear me okay?
I'm hearing you. Okay. And let's hopefully work it out.
This is those are the lines I'm on here right now. But anyway.
Well, I'll pay attention. Yes, sir.
I'm busy. I'm a busy man. But to be honest, that Jordanian really agitates me when I hear him on the radio. The previous caller, I was calling before I knew what she was going to talk about. And I tell you the truth, he was complaining that he's being cut off or shortened on his conversation in the morning talk show. I think you ought to make it shorter or keep him off completely off of this one.
Yes, sir.
I can't really understand this man come into this country probably as a refugee. I understand he can't go back where he came from or he'd be probably killed. So he must be content to be here, but he complains about every single thing in this on earth in Cayman. And I think it should be stopped, regardless about freedom of speech. That's that's bondage. That's not freedom of speech for us.
Right.
We got bondage when we got that Bill of Rights put in our Constitution.
Right.
I'm not rude. I don't mean to be rude, or I don't hate the man, don't hate anyone. But I'm tired of listening to his baloney, talking on the radio, complaining about Cayman every time he calls in. And I think it's time for you or somebody to do something about him. Either send him off to some country or shut him up, one or the other.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Before you go, if you have a minute, I wouldn't mind engaging you just for 2 questions, if that's okay.
So go ahead. If
Yes,
you
sir.
can help, I will.
Yes, sir. I know that it's sticking to the same topic, and I hear what you're sharing, but if I could just ask 2 things. One, if the gentleman is calling, right, we know his perspective. Do we think that there are other people who are probably behind the scenes, part of organizations, whether sporting, civil, or otherwise, civic, and civilly sort of conducting themselves, but they tend to want to influence, or they are able, through their money, otherwise in position of power, to influence things, but we're not hearing from them? What do we do about those individuals? So the fellow that calls, we know his perspective, he voices his opinions, it may offend people, it may inflame them, upset, anger, enrage, all those things, right? But we know where he stands because he says it publicly. But what if there are other people, for want of a better phrase, who are behind the scenes in the smoke-filled rooms and the like, who are calling the shots? What do we do about that?
If they're a genuine Caymanian and they have a problem, I don't have a problem listening to a complaint.
Right.
But this man is not from here, and he finds more complaints than any other Caymanian in any other person in this country. Why is that the case? This is why everybody, I don't know how many people sanction what he says. I'm not saying that everything he says is wrong, but it's wrong for him to be saying it. That's what I'm talking about.
No, but why is it wrong for him to say it? Why is it?
Because he's a paper Caymanian. I understand that now, and I understand he's got the same rights that I have, which is unfortunate. But the thing is,
but why is that unfortunate?
He ought to know how to keep himself in his place. He could never do that anywhere else in the world.
Okay.
How he goes on here.
I hear you, but is it because he's doing it publicly and we know where he's at? And mind you, I don't wish to be argumentative, not in this instance publicly disrespectful, but what I'm trying to get at is that if somebody, whether it's him, and we can use him as an example because he's put himself publicly, he's doing this, we know where he stands, we hear what he says, we like it, we don't like. But what if there's somebody part of, maybe the person is part of some organization, could be government, could be private sector, could be a service club, sports club, any other thing. That person is able to call the politicians, call senior civil servants, call other colleagues in the private sector, whoever and however, and influence certain things, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. But we don't know what they're doing because we don't run in those circles, we don't hear them publicly. They sort of, keep their foot on the scale to tip it as they wish. What do we do with them?
I can't tell you exactly what to do with them, about them. I don't know how many of them we have to deal with. But at least if they have questions or comments or whatever and do it privately, I don't have a problem with that.
Okay.
The politicians don't have to abide by what they want either.
Okay.
I wouldn't doubt a lot of times they do.
Right, but we don't know what's happening because we don't hear nothing about it, right?
Well, that might be true,
Okay.
but I would venture to say that you get nothing done by all the complaints that this man does.
So the other question, and I really appreciate you taking a second. The other question, so we stop this fellow or another fellow, male or female, what happens when it's me, you, or somebody else that we do care about? That person.
As far as I'm concerned, you give him too much time to begin with.
So, but
I'm
if
not
you,
saying that you should cut him off completely, but he needs to change, or else cut him off.
Yeah.
Because I don't care who it is, but I don't think I think he's the only one in this country
Right. So,
that agitates the whole country the way he does on these talk shows.
yeah, it's all
He
right.
can be right in everything he wants to say.
Yeah. All right. Well, I question to what extent, if we limit person A, what happens when it's person B, and that's you or me or somebody that we really care about? Because we limit one, the precedence over the set.
I don't care who it is.
Yes,
If
sir.
he's running the country down the way he does, you should cut him off.
Okay. All right, sir.
Regardless of what kind of freedom of expression or anything we got, like I say, that's nothing but a bunch of bondage. We should have never had to tolerate that. We've had to swallow too much now through being on the UK. People that have no, respect or no value for human lives anymore, it looks like to me. The whole world seems to have gone crazy. We, a few little Caymanians here, trying to be good citizens, and we get polluted by all of the people that are coming in here from all sorts of nationalities. And I don't have anything against anyone that comes here and behaves themselves. But if they can't come here and abide by the laws and keep quiet, men, they need to keep quiet. They shouldn't even get a work permit. They should be turned down. I don't know if they turn anyone down like that, but they need to start it.
Yeah, well, I hear you, man. I watching to see, man. Watching to see,
Okay.
Thank you very much, sir. All right.
Thank you.
Have a good afternoon. Enjoy the week. And with that, Mr. Carl, we'll pause and take a short break. We'll take each caller, so stay tuned for Talk Today.
Now you'll never have to choose between two desserts at Subway. The new caramel brownie cookie is 2 treats in 1. Imagine sweet, gooey caramel with decadent chocolate chunks baked in brownie-flavored dough and topped with a light drizzle of caramel icing. And you have the new caramel brownie cookie, available at Subway. Complete your Subway sandwich, pizza, or salad with the delicious caramel brownie cookie or any other cookie flavor and dessert. Available at all Subway locations. Subway, eat fresh.
We are in an age of exponential change. The world is experiencing a technology boom where innovation is at an all-time high. What does this mean for small island nations? How can we adapt to the emerging digital revolution? Join 900 delegates from 3 Caribbean countries at one regional event to tackle the theme, Global Digital Disruption, Threat or Opportunity. The virtual RF Economic Outlook Conference happens on May 6th. Register today at rfeoc.com.
Freedom, Cayman Rock. Freedom, Little Cayman. Soft breezes, blue waters, no traffic. Unwind and rejuvenate your mind, body, and soul. Sister Island Staycations, a taste of freedom. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
It's time for Sports Day. Join me, Jessica Calder Ebanks, contestant number 2 in the Miss World Cayman Islands pageant for Sports Day, which takes place on Sunday, May 16 at the Trimambadan Sports Complex at 3 p.m. My team, the Corals, and I will be competing for the best tug-of-war, sprinting, relay, and much more. You won't want to miss me, Jessica Calder Ebanks, and my team, the Corals. Admission is free.
But I do have some questions.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program. Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thanks for sharing with us. We've got a number of calls online, but it really is an honor now to maybe take this quick, chance to chat and brings a little bit more light and sensitivity to what we're sharing as we continue with the open line. But let's go to the phones and join Miss Mariah. Miss Mariah, good afternoon.
Hi.
How are you today?
I am busy, but really grateful, excited, and just happy to share this time right now.
Hey, thank you for accepting the invitation to just call with us briefly. I know you travel on Wednesday, I'm told.
Yes, sir. Wednesday morning.
Well, if it's okay with you, we'll come not only in spirit but through prayer for your enjoyment, safety, but for you just to go there and represent how we know. Could we maybe at the outset quickly just ask you, because you guys have the proper training, a quick intro, your formal title, Mariah Tibbetts, Miss. Do that like how you normally do for our listeners. All
sure.
right.
I am Mariah Tibbetts, Miss Cayman Islands Universe 2020.
I like how you say that. And the idea, I love the notion of Cayman Islands Universe. It's like, if America believed they're the center of the universe and the only country, Cayman Islands Universe sounds good, right?
Yes.
So tell our listeners, if we could, maybe a couple of things, where you're going, the road that led you here. Just share with us so that we appreciate it, because it's been a trying time. Last year was, as I said, a long century.
It has, for sure. So I am heading off to Miss Universe on, like you said, on Wednesday. The competition's actually on May 16th. and it's in Hollywood, Florida this year. So luckily, it's pretty close to home, and I know quite a few Caymanians are in Florida too. So I will feel the love, the home love up there. And for those who don't know, like you were mentioning, I actually competed in the Miss Cayman Islands Universe pageant on Island in 2019, and I was first runner-up. And then in 2020 last year, they couldn't have a pageant. You know, we were in lockdown, dealing with the pandemic and everything else, so they couldn't have a pageant, but the Miss Universe organization gave them the option to appoint their first runner-up. And I am told, this is a story I am told, that it was unanimous by the committee. They all agreed that they were happy for me to take the title. And since September 26th last year, I've been Miss Cayman Islands Universe for 7 months, going around doing events in the local community. I've been to Cayman Brac as well, visited the schools there. And now my journey is going international. I'm taking Cayman Islands to the universe.
And you will do that exceptionally well. And this is where I think many times we don't appreciate that we're all ambassadors, and we are, when, like you, place on the world stage, it's much more important for us who remain here to be your champions, your supporters, your nurturers, to provide that level of physical, spiritual, emotional, and where necessary, financial support as well, right?
Absolutely. I can't tell you how much it really keeps me going. And something that I like that happens at Miss Universe that a lot of people might not really think about or realize is that your name is never called there. So my name, Mariah, they probably won't even learn my name. You're just called by your country. So it's a great reminder while I'm there that this isn't Mariah. I'm not doing this for Mariah. I'm doing this for Cayman. I am Cayman Islands when I'm there.
That's the thing, we probably sometimes don't appreciate, like you just said, that this isn't about the individual in this instance. This is, good, bad, or indifferent. It's going to reflect on us as a country, and it's for us, just like we would hopefully appreciate cheering on our football team or any sports team when they're having a competition locally or overseas. We now need to draw alongside and give you all the support, the preparation, all the things, because it's, for one of a better way, you're to serve as our ambassador, right?
Absolutely, yes.
I'm so glad that you had a chance to share. I'm so glad that you get a chance to travel, and it's good for us. But hopefully, all the hard work, the effort, the sacrifice that you put in, that you too will, benefit greatly from it as well.
Yes, I definitely think I will. I think there's no question I will leave there with something. It's not just enjoying the journey. I'm coming out a better person on the other end.
There you go, man. Now, as you sort of disconnect from us, before you do, are there any sort of words of encouragement, anything you want to share with our listeners, whether to nurture and encourage and inspire them, or whether even from your own journey that you may want to share for us as well?
Yes, absolutely. I love to talk to the people in the community. So, well, firstly, I would love to say thank you all so much for your love and support. Like you were just talking about, we need to support each other and we need to back each other, whether it's in this instance of me going overseas to represent our islands or just in our local community. We should be lifting each other up. And like you said earlier, I would definitely appreciate your prayers. We are a Christian community, and I think that it will just reign strong in this moment for me, for your prayers. And my words of encouragement to everyone right now, something that I've learned on this journey, is to just appreciate yourself and what you have to offer the world. Sometimes we feel like we need to be perfect. Sometimes we feel like we need to fit a certain mold. And one thing I've learned for sure over the last 7 months is that there is no mold. You make the mold that you want to make. And you leave the mark that you want to leave, because you're perfect just as you are, and you are enough. And just go out there and shine in the world with everything that you currently have, because no one can be you better than you.
Let your light so shine, huh?
Yes, exactly.
I think that's where we need to get that perspective, where in our differences, we're more like, in our endeavor to be unique, we can still, have and we should have a degree of humility and appreciation, respect, acceptance, as it is for others. And if we have that level of consideration for the impact that we have on others, we'll see how when we come to the table, make it that much better for all, including ourselves. So you're definitely a shining beacon, and I'm glad that we can have this conversation. Maybe people today on a Monday, when they're feeling all that we've experienced in the last few bits, this might take us forward,
I completely agree. And I'm very happy to be on the show, too, so people can get to know me a little better and hear my voice and my journey.
Indeed. Well, the 16th of May isn't that far away, and when you do return, please, we'll coordinate with Miss Anita, but please, when you're returning up to it, come in back in the studio in person and have a conversation with us, all right?
Oh, I would love to. Yes, for sure. We will coordinate that.
Perfectly. Well, enjoy the rest of your preparation time. Have a very, very, enjoyable and safe, sort of time away from us. So, all the best to you.
Thank you so much.
All
Thank you so much for having me. Have a great day.
You too, Miss Mariah. Thank you.
Bye.
This is it, man. Let's go to our phones, though. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. Thanks for calling. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Very blessed, very thankful, gracious and grateful.
Good. And also, I wish Miss Tibbetts, Miss Universe, all the best, and God be with her all the way. And I know she would represent Cayman very well, very well. The callers are speaking about our friend here, Mr. Amjad. It is so, Dwayne, that he does go on a little bit too far. I mean, not even some of us Caymanians, born Caymanians, is as brave as him with going on about what's happening.
But is that, he does, as you shared, but is that because he has more courage or he's just abrasive? Is it that he sees that there is a need to speak and nobody else is? I'm just trying to figure out what makes him feel that much more emboldened, if it would. And Caymanians, if you want to sort of distantiate it that way, just sit down and beat up their gums under the coconut tree and don't say nothing publicly. Don't take a stance.
Yeah, that is true. And some of us, when we get on the radio, like me, I'm told to shut up. Okay, but I also have that right now. Right. I also know that he is a paper Caymanian. That is a lot of them. We have, in fact, I believe it's much more them than the born Caymanians. But he does go a little bit too far, and get into too much personal stuff. It's. I know that he cannot do that in his country, Jordan. I know that he can do that.
Okay, but does that matter though? I mean, because if you're here. And maybe, again, only to encourage discourse, right? We say paper Caymanian and does that really matter? I mean, should it matter if it does, but does it really matter?
No, to me it doesn't matter because I me myself can't talk. My husband is.
So why do we say that then? I mean, why?
I don't know. It's because we often want to. Identify ourselves by saying we're Caymanian born, and then they foreigners like my husband.
Right.
He's 50 years gone here.
Yeah. So to me, and the reason why there is no question, and I will defend this to the bitter end, that I love this place. There's a reason why I love it. And many times I'm reminded of why I love it through the eyes of those people who've come here, whether they've been here 10 years, been here a short time, or they've been here 50 years. They remind us that we're so apt to take things for granted, the things that we grew up with. Just take, for instance, the beautiful beaches and the relative safety that we enjoy. Mind you, I said relative because there was a time when it was probably absolute safety, or as close to that as possible. Look at the actions in our societies in recent times relative to how we, all of us who live and work here, how we behave towards one another, our impact, our negative impact on the environment, the unsafe nature of our roads, the complaints that we have about our education system, whether it's the government, $200 million facility, or it's a private sector constructed and run facility, whether it's the performance of our sports team, Why is it that we are willing to be divided as of trying to find a way to be united?
Dwayne,
yes, Mom.
We ourselves are like I say, our own Caymanians, our own born Caymanians, Caymanians family. We are divided. We're no longer helping each other out. We're no longer sticking together. And I've said this many, many times. I have worked mostly with people that come to this island that after a while they make Cayman their home. And I've had less trouble with them than I've had with my own Caymanians. And I don't find myself, or I don't think that I'm a miserable person that you can't get along with. Well, you might ask my husband sometime. But, you know, we do not stick together anymore like the foreign person that when they have friends coming in or they are the same nationality, they help each other. We do not do that anymore, regardless of how much.
Well, let's start doing that. If we used to, let's start it again.
Regardless of how much boasting that we're a Christian community, which I know that has gone out the door a long time ago, and my own family is some of them, okay? And I'm not afraid to say so because God would want me to say the truth. And you hear about closer to thick, harder it bites.
Yeah, your own flea bites you the hardest, huh?
Exactly. But I know it's getting time for news time, and I wanted to say something about Dr. Brown and on the radio this morning. Maybe you should also have her.
They're scheduled to come on tomorrow at 1:30.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much because she is very valuable to this community. And I have something more to say, but I know it's news time, so I wish you a good afternoon, all the Radio Cayman staff.
You're most welcome. Thank you, Mom. All right, let's pause and take a break, and if you're in the queue, we want to hear from you when we return. If you're not, well, dial the number. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Continuing the Caymanian tradition.
Let Cora keep my ground so clean.
The heart and soul of the Cayman people. Thank you for keeping the culture alive.
Spread the news every day. From East End to Georgetown, down into West Bay.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Shanda Gallego from Radio Cayman's newsroom. The roadways along Northwest Point Road in West Bay have now been cleared and open to the public following a Sunday evening crash involving a motor vehicle and a motorcycle. The rider of the motorcycle was unresponsive and taken to the hospital by ambulance, where he was later pronounced dead. Police say there were no other injuries reported. Police can now confirm that the rider of the motorcycle is a 31-year-old man of West Bay. The investigation into this matter is ongoing. As of late, a 38-year-old man, also of West Bay, has been arrested on suspicion of causing death by careless driving and driving whilst impaired. Traffic investigators are encouraging anyone with information to call the Traffic and Roads Policing Unit at 649-6254 or the Georgetown Police Station at 949-4222. Anonymous tips can also be provided to the RCIPS confidential tip line at 949-7777. Turning to international news now, the authorities in the Indian capital, Delhi, have called for help from the army as the city grapples with a brutal second wave of COVID-19 cases. Hospitals in the city are in crisis with intensive care beds full and an acute shortage of medical oxygen. Delhi's government wants the army to run COVID care facilities and intensive care units across India. Case numbers since the start of the outbreak are closing in on 20 million. The EU Commission has recommended easing restrictions on non-essential travel from overseas. Under the plans, anyone who has received the last dose of an EU-approved vaccine at least 2 weeks beforehand will be permitted to travel. The EU certainly only allows non-essential travel from 7 countries. Discussions on the plans will begin on Tuesday. And German police have arrested 3 men and a 4th is being held in Paraguay for allegedly running one of the world's biggest online networks for sharing images of child sex abuse. The international operation involving several police forces targeted a dark net platform called Boys Town, which has now been taken down. Officials say Boys Town had more than 400,000 registered users. They say some images showed the most serious sexual abuse of young children. Those are your latest headlines here on Radio Cayman. I'm Shanda Gallego.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
Talk today.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. And thank you not only for your positive thoughts and prayers, for your counsel, guidance, and your company as you go to the phones. It's open line here on Talk Today. Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How are you today?
Oh, I'm about driving over the cliff today.
No, not just driving over the cliff. Some was doing our parachute, some was think that we got hang glider. Yes,
you
ma'am.
never had any, so I don't think that they would think that it's necessary because everybody notices that you're going like you hang glide, but need nothing there. Probably up in the air and everything, but need nothing there.
There you go, Bo. Probably now you're wearing a decent shirt.
I'm not going there with you.
There you go.
You right there.
Okay.
Listen, let me talk about your beauty queen first.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm just so pleased to know that the organization, whatever it's called, because I really don't know, were positively thinking outside the box that they could just go to the next one and just get it done, even during COVID time. So, I am like all agog for them right now.
Yeah, man. We can't let, the world time doesn't stop for anybody, right? And
and I just like when people can think out of the box.
That's
when
right.
Everybody can come to agreement. This can be done.
That's right.
There's nothing negative going on here. We can get across these hurdles and get it done.
We press on.
And when I heard her say that, I was like, if I could, I wanted to jump because I was so happy. But anyway, getting to one of my favorite persons in the whole wide world. Look here. Little bit of gratitude, little bit of gratefulness, little bit of appreciation, little bit of just be a decent human being, please. We down here, we like that. I would like to ask the gentleman, because I'm home, I runs my mouth at home, I can't stand none of them, I talk about the government all the time, but I am home. No, I not up in his place talk about his government, because first of all, I got my tongue cut up with my head overnight. Why he down here can't be decent, can't be nice, just eat your food, you got good food, you're not going to run away from here, you know, but not sailing away in a boat to drown in the middle of the ocean. Just be happy, just be nice. You got your little Cayman family there, you're always boasting about, don't insult my country. That is you on one tirade, and you know that now what people talking about. We're talking about, got no respect for the soil, and I tell you what, if you're not got no respect for you don't have to have no respect for you, but then you need to leave. I don't care where you go. People say about go back home. I don't care where you go. Get out of here.
Okay.
The engine smokes out every day. You'll be on it. High time you go back to that immigration question and find out if they got a what you call that, a two-way ticket. And Cayman status is just too easy to achieve, and this is the garbage and the situation that we will find ourselves in. Mr. Prime Minister, appreciate what you have, because obviously you didn't have it before.
Only if you wish, right? And there's no question that there are much afoot, right? But if we look at the Cayman context, maybe a couple of things that immediately jump out at me. We have probably publicly complained about those who publicly complain, but what again? I ask about those individuals that we probably suspect, we may know about quietly, but they're behind the scenes. We call them the kingmakers and the puppet masters. We call them the influencers and the agenda setters. We call them the special interests. We've assigned labels for them. We may even have faces and names for them. But they seem to pull the strings and let things happen when they weigh in and tip the scales. But we do nothing.
But listen to me, my friend. We do nothing because we don't know. We're cowards. We have no evidence.
Okay.
We don't have organization, all that. We know where we're wrong, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But this man is a bully. And we do have anti-bullying policies, if not legislations. He is a bully, and you have the... I told you about this before, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to tell you. You have the cure for him right there.
Okay.
You should use it.
Okay, so...
No.
Yes, ma'am.
You can't teach people... You like Clara, my friends. When people come here and they are aggressive and they are abrasive and they don't embrace the Caymanian in Cayman, you can't help them. They don't want it.
Okay, but let me then ask.
You get just like them, aggressive and abrasive and all that kind of thing.
Okay. But let me ask, right?
That's why I'm an angry black female.
There you go. Well, let me then ask, right? So let's say it's not on the phone, but it's in the person. Person to person, face to face. So we got someone who comes in with a quiet demeanor, smiling, well dressed.
Columbus.
Okay. And they have an official title. They may even have a professional qualification. They may have been...
We know who that is.
We have been officially sanctioned, right? So, but that person comes in the peddle, you know, like an ordinary snake oil salesman, but they have a nice smile. Why is it that we take that person on board at some point, elevate them, recognize them publicly, give them all these things that we impart to these people, right? Because of the disarming smile, the charm, or the character, whichever.
No, but we should push that one up against the wall too and say, look here, I know.
But we don't do that. We will castigate.
Darlene tries to.
Yes, ma'am.
I tries to, if I can find him, I tries to make him know it's even by a glance that I stand under him.
Right. But okay, so you do it. How many of us will support you or people like you who do it? How often do we recognize these people? Because remember, they blend so nicely. They're so disarming. They're so polite. You know.
That's a human condition, and I mean, you're talking about the Middle Passage. You're going right back to the Middle Passage. You're going right back to the American, what do people call it? The American Indian. You're going right back to all these things where you give your Wyoming and you give your Kentucky, but you didn't want that. You had wanted the whole of that land, man.
Right.
Fine.
Okay.
You understand that?
Yeah.
I mean, this individual is just disgusting. He knows he's disgusting. He has a psychosis that needs to be abrasive and all that. You know, he got a chip on his shoulder, but like, oh, man, too, I'm proud of mine.
But remember, right?
No, he needs to behave. Really, honest to God, he needs to behave, and you have the cure for him. Please use it.
So could I extend a cure to everybody else too?
Could I come in that studio, stand up behind you, tell them again I should come back.
You should.
And then I can stand up behind you, and I can stand up behind you, and I can do my thing.
So 2 questions then. Should I be the ultimate arbiter, that one who decides?
Yeah,
okay.
We need somebody, so why not you?
Okay, great. And can I extend that cure to any and everybody that I decide? So no matter how they look, where they're from.
No, but you see, you are not going to do that.
But then, okay.
That is not the question.
But
that is not. You are not going to do that. Nobody is going to do that.
Okay.
Nobody from Radio Cayman is going to do that.
So I'm going to ask you.
We're not going to do it.
Yeah, I'm going to ask you one thing, then maybe leave you with something else, right? So, again, whoever it is, right? If a society is supposed to be a free and fair one, a healthy democracy with freedoms and liberties and the like.
Well, if he got it now, he should enjoy it.
Right. But if we were to deny a person that freedom to speak, now with our corresponding right, they be told and reminded there's a responsibility, right? But if that person is now shut out, shut up, and cut off, what happens when it's somebody else? What happens when it's us?
It's not going to happen that way. It has never happened that way, and it won't. Let me. He is ill-manly and ungrateful.
Okay.
And I say I'm inviting myself to the studio to stand.
Well, you have an open invitation. So, but
yeah.
How about this, right? So let's say, I guess you just answered it in a sense, right? Because he is, as you described, you know, that person who seems to be a little bit more amenable, a little bit more polite, and we tend to give them a little bit more license, right? Because they're not aggressive and abrasive.
Vinegar or honey?
Okay. So let me then leave you this then, right? What if I decide to exercise that, irrespective of the person, in studio or otherwise, and say, listen, you know what, Joe? This is where you get off. You just peddling a bunch of nonsense, right? And
I wouldn't tell them they're peddling nonsense, it would be gone.
Right. So if I did that, irrespective of who it is, and I start tomorrow, I mean, why not, make hay while the sun shines? How long do you think this society will? And look at me.
You're not going to do that. You are not going to do that. You are not going to do that. I trust your discretion. Hear how you talking to this angry black female, and you won't let me go where I want to go.
Well,
That's who you are. This is the society we are. This is Cayman.
Okay,
we are
so
far different than any place else.
True. We sit down and we.
I trust you, and I must also trust you. So at some point in time, you got the finger on the button.
So.
Press it. Because there are times when it's
right. No, you're right. You're right.
necessary.
Let's then ask ourselves this question just on the last point that you made, right? We're talking about diplomacy. We're talking about discourse, dialogue, right? We are now putting in place a military, right? That's going to be armed to the teeth with guns.
And they're not Caymanians. I know we're going
right?
to.
So wouldn't it not be better if we're going in the 21st century where we're asking our children to be trained as critical thinkers, where we're asking our people to embrace the 21st century Cayman with its diversity, its multitude of cultures and nationalities and ethnicities and economics and all those things, but instead of dividing us, right? Why don't we create a core of diplomats? Why don't we create a core of engineers? UK probably got something similar, but more of us are probably more familiar with the US, right? Where they have the discipline, but they also are trained with skill sets to make water safe to drink. Right? Why are we putting people in fatigues and lazing with guns? No, I say that publicly because it's a view that I have.
You got right off the cliff.
Right? And when I say that, people say, oh boy, you... But why are we creating the potential for more war? It's probably the last days.
Because you notice how everybody talking now. You notice how when it was only about 10 callers for the week, and in the next week of the same 10.
So
famous talk show hosts just talk about the scene when you're making fun of it about the same 10 callers all the time because it was only 10 callers.
Right.
But now it seems to be more, and they're more virulent.
Right.
And they can look at the path. Cheryl Gorin, George Whitaker, the path that Cayman is set upon. We're going to have to do what Castro did in Cuba. I know that you all don't want to do that, but it will have to be done.
But hang on,
so
if we...
Argyle is just another piece in the puzzle.
But if we would do that, right?
Because it's coming.
And they've already put in place their militia, their military, their might. You think that?
The army.
Well, I call it. Yeah, okay. So my reference to the phrase "open line" is because of my deference to Mr. Doran Miller, right? A man who handled was probably one of the best mediators and facilitators of talk radio, hands down. Cayman and anywhere else compared, right? So let's say I was to deliberately start to comment publicly using this forum about this military that we put in place, this army, as opposed to creating this core of diplomats or core of engineers. You think that in that capacity then, that I would not be quickly reminded from on high that I should know my place and stay in my lane?
I don't know what you remind you. I don't know how you're not coming out and telling us how they remind you,
Well, do you not? Okay, so let's go a step further, right? What about the other public people, from the politicians that we elected to those pundits that are quick to pontificate about something? Where are their voices, and have they themselves been misguided, misled, or somehow?
That's very obvious. They know that they get food up every week or two.
Okay, but then does it not come back then?
We got to do what the Canadians say. We got to stand on guard for her. Business with them. Don't tell me nothing about them.
Yeah.
Because you see, just everybody was hopping and skipping and jumping. Someone the very color that them kangaroos jumping in the bush in Australia, jumping all over there. I don't want nothing too much to do with them.
Why do we not, as a people, find ways to unify us, right? Why are we so quick to look at what divides us? Yes, ma'am.
I'm coming out by your radio station. No, I don't need to come. You can walk around and then ask who know me. and you can get my number. I told you before.
Yes,
call
ma'am.
me. Never call me.
No.
I left the number before.
Well, I don't know if I even got it.
I got it or not, and I'm going there because I don't know. I did
No,
not.
no. I'll get it.
Okay.
I'll get it. All right.
I say, call me.
Uh-huh.
Call me. People know that I don't really sleep. Call me
Yeah.
on that topic right there.
Yeah.
Call me, man. Call
Yes,
me,
ma'am.
man.
Yes, ma'am.
I listen to those people, you know. I used to listen to them, and the couple that's still here, I sit down, I talk to them all.
Well,
How you know this?
That's
I went
right.
to the well.
That's right. And you see that well, right? But the problem with us is that we have become this thing that I don't want to read what someone just wrote, but it calls us cowards.
Yeah, I want one cook. Now, so I can cook some cornmeal porridge. Don't include me in the bunch.
Okay.
Not me.
You enjoy that cornmeal porridge because right now I could use some coconut milk myself. All right, ma'am.
And I want washboard and a caboose. Don't tell me, not me.
No.
Talk something, but talk to the rest of them, not to Charlie.
There you go, ma'am. All right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Enjoy your afternoon. All right, listen, we got some more callers, but with great respect, let's just pause quickly and take this short break. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Captain Charles Leonard Kirkconnell, OBE 1922 to 2010. Captain Charles Kirkconnell has donated land on all 3 islands for projects close to his heart. In Cayman Brac, he donated the land on which now stand Faith Hospital, the Dental Clinic, and Kirkconnell Community Care Centre. The Booby Pond Reserve on Little Cayman began with his gift of a small strip of land along the pond, and in 2001 to 2002, he donated the land for a new church in Blossom Village. Bethel Baptist Church on Walkers Road, Georgetown, is built on land given to the church by Captain Charles and his brother. He represented the Sister Islands in the Legislative Assembly for almost 13 years, 8 of which he served on Executive Council, holding the portfolio of communications, works, and district administration. During his tenure, the road across the bluff was completed. The Aston Ruddy Civic Center was built, the Cayman Brac Airport runway was lengthened to 6,000 feet, and a new terminal and fire station were built. New docks were built on both Sister Islands, and a new Port Authority building was undertaken. Captain Charles and his wife Carol Jean Nee McIntosh have 5 children. Captain Charles Leonard Kirkconnell.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Wouldn't it have been grand if you had purchased land 30 years ago? It may not be 2020, but a perfect vision has never been more clear. Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, poised for growth with an eye on the future. Your land, your history, your future. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Busy, busy, busy. Feel like there's not just enough hours in the day. Savannah Pharmacy, service to make your life easier. Now you can WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. And pickup is just around fitting your family needs. And convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays. WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. Savannah Pharmacy, wholesome values with modern conveniences.
But I do have some questions.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program. Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back, and thanks for joining us. It is open line. Let's go to our phones and engage each of you. Good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, good afternoon. Mario Ebanks. How are you doing, my friend?
Good afternoon, man. Is it too late now to call you? I already called you 1,000 years ago, or I should do that more?
Yeah, it's too late now.
Too late now? Okay, sir. How are you?
But fine, man, fine. And you and your family?
I'm blessed, man. We are, thank God, healthy and very blessed.
Yeah, I want to also give a good afternoon to all the listeners and Radio Cayman around the world and Cayman Islands, of course.
Mm-hmm.
I always give my name, my full name, because I want to make sure that people know who it is. And there's another contributor to your show, a very able young man as well that's on there quite often. And sometimes I get thumbs up and I get thumbs down sometimes for his comments. But I just want to make sure people know who's who. As you know, I was a public servant until the 26th of February, so I didn't call your show for last 6 or so years. except occasionally I'll call in, something general. But I just want to make sure that people understand that this is Mario E. Banks from West Bay.
Mario E. Banks.
Correct, that's right.
You should tell them what the E for, man.
The E is for Eliseo. Some people get it wrong by saying Eliseo, but it's actually
that's what we used to say, right?
Spanish name, Eliseo, that's right.
Eliseo.
They pronounce the Spanish people pronounce the E as the A, so it's Eliseo, even though it's spelled Eliseo. So that's a bit of language trivia.
Kind of like Boardman, when you get that corrected too.
Exactly.
In Barcas. In Mosquitoes.
Yes. Anyway, I know you might have a caller. I don't want to take up too much of your time, so I appreciate you giving me a few minutes. I just want to talk a little bit today about the vaccine program, the COVID-19 vaccine program. This morning on one of your other shows, for the record, Dr. Hazel Brown was on there, Dr. Lee talking about it, and very good discussion they had this morning, and I think they come on to your show tomorrow.
1:30.
I heard you said that.
Yes, sir.
So one of the things that Dr. Hazel Brown mentioned this morning is, that about employers and employees, being, engaging them so they understand why this is so important for people to become vaccinated, and why it's a partnership between the employers and employees if we're going to safely and gradually reopen our economy to the outside world, especially tourism. And so, we have we're one of the best places on earth now to be, especially with COVID. But we also got to, be sensible and not get complacent and not backtrack on this whole thing. But in regard to employees and employers being engaged and working as a partnership, I saw in the Compass last Friday, on page 7, so the Friday 30th of April Compass, there was an article. It says, can businesses insist staff get the COVID-19 vaccine? Very good article actually on page 7. I'd like to invite people to look at that, because I don't want to repeat it. And there was discussion under one of the law firms, HSM, some of their lawyers, and they made some very, very good points, some good general guidance, on the subject. And I just want to encourage people to read that. But also, I just wanted to recap, as an HR professional myself and somebody who has had quite a bit of knowledge of the labor law and other matters, just point your listeners to a couple of quick clauses in the labor law, which the labor law is now called the Labor Act of 2021. That's been changed since they had the amendment to the Constitution and recently. But on section 58 of the labor law, just quickly run through that. One clause in particular, it says, section 58 of the labor law says, under general duty of employers, it says, every employer shall ensure, so far as is reasonably practicable, the health, safety, and welfare at work of that person's employees. So that's the employer's responsibility. But now, section 64.4, section 64.3 of the labor law also puts the onus on the employees to be responsible as well. And section 64.3 of the Labor Act 2021 revision says, no employee shall willfully and without reasonable cause do anything likely to endanger themselves or others. So my point is this, to support the article in Compass on Friday, and also to support Dr. Hazel Brown and the medical community and our country in general in terms of people being responsible, that employers and employees have responsibilities under the labor law for safety and health. So I say that to say that I'm not going to give any legal advice or any kind of advice on the show unless I'm authorized to do so. But there's certain action that can be taken under section 51(1)(f) of the labor law. People can take some advice on, so that if employees are refusing to get the vaccine other than for cause, and once you have the reasonableness test that you satisfy doing, that people can actually be, especially if it's some industries that health and safety is critical, and you may have contact with the outside world or other people, So what I'm saying today is that there's a lot of misinformation out there about the vaccine. Social media is not helping. There's some beliefs and cultures that are obviously impacting it as well. But if we're going to reopen our economy safely and gradually, we're going to need people to get on board. And the important thing is that the 9th of June is a deadline where if people don't take the vaccine by then, they wouldn't be able to get their 21 days waiting period to get the second shot, because by the end of June, the current batch of vaccines that we have in the island, which have been given to us free, would expire, and you'd have to dump those. We can't afford to do that. We need to lead the way. And we need to get this thing done.
So if I can then
vaccinated, because otherwise we can't reopen our economy safely and gradually.
If I then can engage you, because you are, just not only an HR professional, but quite astute as well, and I think your words resonate with some, right? But in listening to you, and even under those sections of the labor legislation that you reference, two things immediately jump out. Is it then by inference then that we can conclude that potentially governments and our employers can force the citizens and our employees to do this thing, take this injection?
Well, as I said, I'm not going to give.
No, I understand. Just an opinion. It's not advice.
Yeah, okay, I'm getting to that.
Mm.
One of the things that within that article on page 7 of the last Friday's Compass also is the issue around human rights, and also in regard to being reasonable, right? Because the section 51F of the labor law also talks about the reasonableness test. It says, and I quote that, it says, then for the purposes of this part, it talks about the reasonableness of the action. It says, and under the circumstances, the employer acted reasonably, right? Section 51F. So what I'm saying is that, and I guess what I mean when I mentioned Section 51(1)F is that that's the basis for the employers under the labor law to begin to engage employees, and once they have been reasonable in discussing the issues around the vaccine, looking at their objections or their resistance to it, and then if you can't find any reasonable grounds why the employee shouldn't do it, and if the action of the employee threatens the health and safety of others in the workplace or others in the community, then there's no reason why the employer cannot begin to take action. But one of the things I found very useful in this article in Compass on the 30th of April, page 7, was how you go about engaging, and a gradual step into it. You don't come into the workplace in the morning and say, okay, those of you who don't have vaccine, leave work today, and you're going to have to leave without being paid. No, you can't do that. You can't do that, right?
But what happens?
You need to engage.
Yeah.
So places like just one second.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Like places like Turks and Caicos and others that have come down and say, as a policy, we are not going to allow work permit holders to get their permits renewed if you don't have you don't have your vaccine. Those are the kinds of policies that you need in the public sector and the private sector that are supported and are not contrary to the Constitution, Bill of Rights, or to other law, that you can then start to engage and use that carrot and stick approach to bring about a resolution. I give it to you, sir.
No, thank you, sir. And as you mentioned policy, right? It seems that we allow policy to override legislation. In that example, that seems to be part of the problem. So which one is the authority and which one is subordinate? Is it the policy or the legislation?
Well, my little understanding of how this thing works is that you can't have policy that contradicts statute or the law. It has to be complementary. Otherwise, you'd have a complete anarchy in the country. Right?
Okay,
so
but then
you need to be consistency. But what I'm saying to you is that if the directive or the policy says this is what we're going to do, that's not contrary to a constitution or a Bill of Rights or anything, then it can be done. And what I'm saying that the labor law, looking at those sections that I quoted, 58, 64, 3, 51, and also 52, you can start to make this thing happen if it's reasonable and not being unreasonable.
But then it comes back to force, coercion, even peer pressure, influence, and the like. Let me then ask then, is it not our construction that when the health and safety legislation was being passed, I think OSHA, for instance, in the US, and I'm sure when the British got around to making their workplace a little bit better, probably there as well, is it not that applied to machinery, to work settings, things like vaccinations and the like were not part of that construction? There was not the intent that it would apply to legislation to vaccinations, but applied to making the safety of the working environment, in particular, use of machinery, safety equipment, and the like.
Yeah, but I see where you're going there with that. But there are certain under Section 8 of the Labor Act 2021. It covers workplaces, and it does refer to certain things about machinery, eyewear, substances, and whatnot.
Right.
But the section that I have quoted,
I know.
does not narrow it down to be specific in relation to.
No.
It says, and I repeat, Section 64, subsection 3 says, no employee shall willfully and without reasonable cause do anything likely to endanger themselves or others. It doesn't say endanger themselves by using a piece of equipment.
No.
Endanger themselves.
Agree.
If you don't take a vaccine, for example, or you don't take it, and you have a document to show that you take it, and you endanger your workplace or your customers, then that is something that's an offense. Right?
But the question, right? If it's the vaccination, right, which I struggle to call it that, but anyway, that injection, right? I didn't call it a job either, right? But if you get that injection and you lack a vaccine, so if a person has a vaccine against, chicken pox, and someone doesn't have the vaccine, right? And the person that doesn't have the vaccine gets chicken pox, can that person transmit that chicken pox to the person who's been vaccinated?
No, you're going way beyond that.
No, it's not a question for you to answer, right? It's not a question for you to answer. Right? So if the person...
I just did that might be a question tomorrow when your
right.
medical guest
right.
on
And you see, that's the way we got a lot of baloney from a lot of people, right? And the discussion comes down to, how do we balance, freedom of choice, and how do we insist that governments or the pressure from the private sector to push people to do things. It's a vaccination today. Maybe it's tomorrow, well, because you're black, you can't come in this line and shop in the store. I mean, that probably never happened before in history either, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think we can speculate about all kinds of scenarios, but I'm focusing on here now is specific to this. I mean, you and I have taken vaccines for different things, measles, tetanus, even the regular flu shot is a vaccine to a certain extent.
Well, is it?
And all of us have had these vaccines. If you travel to a certain country, they have to get vaccinated because of what cholera and what other things are around about. So all I'm calling about today, Green, is to say to folks, employers and employees, to look at that article in the
page 7
Friday, and also page 7. That's right. But also recognize that engagement of the employers and employees, engagement is very important, and it has to be done. It has to be done respectfully. It has to be done with sensitivity to any particular issues, and it has to be done professionally.
Yes.
And so organizations that have a HR professional on staff, or have access to a consultant to help guide them through, or legal advice, as the one of those that was contributing to that article in the Compass, should reach out, because I mean, I think that I have taken the vaccine. My wife has taken it. Most of my family have taken it, if not all, and including my 91-year-old mother. And no side effects. And I hope that it lasts long enough until we get a booster, because this COVID is going to be around for a good while. So we want to make sure that people are protected. And I know people have reticence about it, and they're concerned about the side effects, or because of religious grounds, or the globalist views, and this whole thing of the New World Order and all kind of stuff. But I mean, I think that if we're going to avoid a Armageddon of mental illnesses and mental stress amongst people, we're going to have to do some incremental steps to get us somewhat restarted, because we're going to have another pandemic soon, which people are going to go crazy, or they're going to go get so stressed out financially that they're going to die in a house. So let's see if we can do something sensible. And like I say, in terms of the workplace, employers and employees engage and have a genuine discussion and work things out. Where it cannot be done reasonably, then the Labour Act allows, under Section 58, 64, and 51, a basis for agreeing to disagree, or in some cases agreeing to part ways. Whether that means part ways by people going back home to their own countries because they refuse to have a vaccine, or they can't come into a workplace because they're endangering themselves or others. And that's what I'm trying to say.
Yes, ma'am.
Trying to encourage discussion and discourse, because the thing is that 9th of June comes, if Cayman has to throw away or refuse that kind of quantity of vaccine because people, without good reason, are not taking it, that's going to be
But remember in the past, right? We say there's something free, nothing is free. Something free, we don't value it. Here you say this is free, but we are clamoring for it. Is there some sort of disconnect there? But who knows?
Yeah.
I hear you.
Thanks for your time, my friend. I appreciate it, and I hope it was of value. And God
of course.
bless you and you.
Amen. Always. And as we go to this quick break, someone says, listening, no matter how nice you put this thing together, all goes back to force. Let's pause and take a break. Join the callers when we return.
Explore your history. Explore your land. Explore your sister islands, the ultimate staycation experience. Your culture, your freedom, the land that time forgot isn't gone. It's your sister islands.
Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
We are in an age of exponential change. The world is experiencing a technology boom where innovation is at an all-time high. What does this mean for small island nations? How can we adapt to the emerging digital revolution? Join 900 delegates from 3 Caribbean countries at one regional event to tackle the theme: Global Digital Disruption, Threat or Opportunity. The virtual RF Economic Outlook Conference happens on May 6th. Register today at rfeoc.com.
Things just got a bit hotter on islands. Come in today and order the new spicy Korean subs at Subway. They're sweet, spicy, and especially satisfying. Stop in and try the pulled pork with spicy Korean sauce, or the chicken with spicy Korean sauce. And you can message WhatsApp at 929-4658. Order online or use Let's Eat or the Bento app. The spicy Korean subs at Subway in 2 flavors: extra saucy and extra spicy. Subway, eat fresh.
I'm looking for a new pizza joint with that perfect crust. My car needs a bit of a tune-up, and my pregnant wife needs something from the pharmacy. So I turned to the printed yellow directory, and in an instant, the pizzas are ordered, the oil change is booked, and the thing that I'm not allowed to say out loud has been purchased for my wife. Problem solved. When you need something quick, do yourself a favor. Flip through the printed yellow directory. Stop searching, start finding.
Your
Yellow,
Radio
we
Cayman
know
6
local.
p.m. news, Monday through Friday, is brought to you by Logic. Your life connected.
So why are the computers so smart?
because it has a motherboard. Mother's Day is coming up. Do the smart thing. Stop by Savannah Pharmacy with a beautiful collection of bags and beauty products or housewares for outdoor dining. Make the smart decision. Get all your Mother's Day purchases at Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village or call 946-3336. Mom would be proud.
Honey, our fridge has stopped working again. Everything in the freezer is melting. We need to get this repaired right away. I'm calling Brand Source Service.
When you need the very best appliance service, call Brand Source Service at 623-5000. Offering service and installation of all brands and models of appliances. Brand Source Service is Cayman's source for appliance parts and repairs with qualified and experienced technicians and the island's largest stock of appliance parts. Brand Source Service will have your repair completed in a flash. So, whatever the problem is, call the experts at 623-5000. Brand Source Service, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park. Telephone 623-5000.
The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. We're here for you. Please be advised that the pension contribution holiday has been extended until 30th of June 2021. Employers and plan members should ensure arrangements are in place for salary deductions and remittance following this date. The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan, keeping you informed. For further information, visit chamberpensions.ky, and for information as it happens, follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram. Email admin@pensions.ky or call 745-7630. We're here for you. At Subway, we know a meal isn't quite complete without a side, and that's why we're introducing waffle fries. Subway's waffle fries are oven-baked softness with extra crispy edge, giving a satisfying taste to be enjoyed as is or in any of Subway's dipping sauces. Order waffle fries as a side item for $2 or make it a meal deal with any sandwich or salad with a 20-ounce drink and waffle fries for an additional $3 or a 30-ounce or bottle drink and waffle fries for an additional $3.50. Subway, eat fresh.
I'm your parent before I'm your friend. The emotional role of a parent is built on love, affection, and esteem. It's an essential part of being a parent, and it's a beautiful thing to behold. But your role as a parent is not just emotional, and your child is not your friend. Indeed, much of the parenting role is functional. For an infant, that means feeding, changing diapers, bathing, and generally providing for the child. For an 8-year-old, it means ensuring homework is done. And for a 15-year-old, it means setting and reinforcing a responsible curfew. This message was brought to you by the National Drug Council and Radio Cayman.
Talk to Dick.
But I do have some questions.
Talk to Dick.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk to Dick.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back, and thanks for joining us. It is open line here on Talk Today as we go back to our phones. Good afternoon, welcome. Thank you for calling. Hello, good afternoon. Hey, good afternoon, welcome. All right, 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. You can WhatsApp 925-3261. Let's try it again. Welcome, good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon, Sterling. How you doing?
Hi, friend. Good afternoon, man. Thanks for your patience, but always thanks for your input.
No worries, man. No worries. I was listening to, I only called him because I was listening to Mr. Mario Ebanks. And truth be told, from my personal opinion, I'm seriously disappointed to hear him take the position that he's taking. Only because, number one, I think the entire world, especially Cayman, and the reason why I say Cayman, because God forbid that someone does take the vaccine and something happened to them because it wasn't right for them. Because we're a small community and everybody knows everybody, so it'll affect a large number of people. Number one, we need to remember that this vaccine has only been given emergency permission to be used, right? Because of what was happening. I 100% understand his concerns, and I think that they're legitimate in terms of the requirements under the labor law. But remember, when he mentioned that we were taking vaccines before, we were taking vaccines that were not given emergency approval to be used.
Right.
These are vaccines that were being used for many years and tested. So therefore, your risk and your comfort zone was a lot different from what it is now. To suggest that people in the workplace should use the labor law as an instrument to force employers to take the vaccine because they may be putting someone at risk, I think Mr. Ebank has totally misinformed himself, especially in the regard that even if you have the vaccine, you can still catch COVID-19 and spread it. So you're not doing anything that's going to be any different. And believe me when I say this, I want to say this to be very, very clear. I encourage every single soul who chooses to take the vaccine to go and do so. Go ahead and do it if that's what you feel is best for you and your family and people around you. By all means, I encourage you to do so. I don't think that there should be any law or any mechanism or any position taken to force people, especially not in the workplace. Because you know what happens then if you're in the workplace and your boss is saying you got to take it, you can't work here, then that person is going to lose gainful occupation. They're going to become a ward in the state, and then who takes care of them? You know, I think that Mr. Ebanks needs to take a better, well-rounded and stop advising people to read an article that suggests what he suggests. And I read that article, by the way. And the thing is that he has a lot of good points. I agree with him. But But if we're going to sit and have a roundtable discussion about it and debate the many issues, the vaccines that are now currently being distributed globally for COVID-19 are all given emergency approval to be used, and none of the vaccine companies are held liable if anything happens. So the realization and what's reality of what's happening here is that we should encourage people who want to take the vaccine to take it, but we should also maintain our liberal right to refuse to take it if we don't. Because what if it's good for you? It doesn't mean it's good for me. My doctor have already advised me because I have serious allergies not to take it. So what happens if I fall in a category in this institution he's referring to in terms of the workplace, and I can't take it, and then all of a sudden I can't come into work now? The reality is, Sterling, is that we have to stop making up these things as we go along and start looking at the real information that is available. Number one, this vaccine does not prevent you from getting COVID. You can still get it and you can still transmit it. So I'm still confused as to why are we supposed to rush down and take a vaccine that still allows us to catch it or transmit it. Now, I understand that the research that I've read, it says that if you take the vaccine and you do contract COVID, that your symptoms and stuff may not be as bad as if you didn't have the vaccine. Okay, fine. That may be a very valid point. So then how am I jeopardizing it at the workplace if I got the vaccine and I can still transmit it? So at the end of the day, we need to be reasonable in our commentary. We need to understand all of the facts. I'm not saying that I am a scientist, I know, but I tell you what, since COVID came in play in March 2020, I have 3 young children, and when I say that, 3 children, one of them, and 2 of them, which was under the age of the recommended dosage, and I had to pay close attention to these things. So whereas I didn't know much about it, I had to inform myself. So we need to remember that this thing was given an emergency approval. There's not been enough time for research and development, and the world is not reporting of all the adverse effects that it has on people, and some people have home died from it. These are facts. They're out there. So, if we're going to advocate to take the vaccine, advocate for those who want to take it. I encourage everybody who wants to take it, please only take it when the government provides it. I'm not saying that you shouldn't. But for people who choose not to take it for their own personal reasons, how in the world are you going to have a law to tell me now you got to take a vaccine? And then what happens if, God forbid, I go and I take my family there and something happens to one of my children or one of my family members that we do our ongoing search to find out that COVID is what caused that? How Mr. E-Bank or anybody in any company that forced me to take and come out and say, oh, well, we sorry. At least it's only 1 out of 3 million. No, I don't want to hear that, because one life adversely affect is 1 life too many. Anyway, I'll leave you there. I won't hold on any longer because the call is long.
Thanks for your point, sir. Thank you very much. Let's take some other callers. Welcome. Good afternoon. Thanks for calling. Hello. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Welcome. Thank you for calling.
Yeah, hello.
Yes, sir.
I thought I was actually still in the queue. Anyway.
Okay. Well, no, you're live and direct, man.
All right. Good. Short lead up. What I want to say, Mario, the last caller, he had some valid points, and I think Mario before had some points too. I could have been a little bit misunderstood because I kind of interpreted this a little different from how the first Mario call was. But having said that, it is still, like your talk show has a acronym of more questions than answers, right?
Yep, they usually are.
So, having said that, I think in a nutshell, it's better to have the vaccine than not to have it. I'm not 100% sold on it, even though I've had my two shots. But at the same time, I think it actually has benefits right off. I mean, for instance, if I'm going to travel, right away, that's like almost like a sub passport, if you know what I mean. At least I've been told that. So, But having said that, that's not what I really called in for.
Right.
That you're on the topic. What I really called in for was, now that our election has passed and new government is chosen, and it's still very early days, and I think nobody can be unless it's speculate. Be too critical of the particular individuals that was chosen to do the job now that they have to do. I just was wondering if and when will we see, now that a new government has been chosen, when could we have some form of fashion of some form of protection, consumer protection? Because, I mean, as a developing country, we're really taking a beating here, as consumers in many aspects. I mean, I know I could call names because I know I shouldn't go there, but I know of places that sell equipment, sell tools, electrical tools. They don't offer no warranty whatsoever. They'll try it in the store. It works fine in the store. You take it home, you plug it in, it doesn't work. You are the alley with a paddle. So that can't be right. I mean, it's like there's got to be something that protects people here, the consumer. Not even Cayman, but generalized. It's got to be generalized that we should have some form. I mean, every time I go in the shop, I can see reasons for it. I mean, just think about the produce. Alone. How many times have you bought avocado pears, but you can't take it back? It doesn't make sense that you can't eat them.
Yeah, you have to wonder, right? Yeah.
So, I mean, I know we import everything is a big liability, of course, yeah. But, again, where is the total protection of money for value for money? You know, it just can't be left wide open, half hunting ground for those who is in power, that they can, you know, roll with the punches and, you know, if they get whatever charge to them, then they can just push it off on the masses. That can't be right because it's developing a lot of social unrest.
I think this is where, you know, the society, we look to, you know, organizations, right, or entities that are organized. They're able to impact certain things, get certain outcomes. Maybe as a populace, as voters, as citizens, there is a need for us to come together, to stand united, so that we serve the collective interest and the collective good of us all. But I don't know, man.
Just hold on. Pass it by me one more time. What you suggesting there, I could be getting it wrong. Let me pass that by you. What you saying that we actually nominate someone so that we elect someone, or we should actually have like some kind of core group, you know, that actually is made up as a watchdog committee for this? Is that what you're saying?
You see, it would be helpful, right? Let's take a couple of things. Something happens in our society, whatever that thing is. It may be for a short time. It creates disquiet in the society. In fact, people are outraged by this thing, whatever this thing is. But how long, you know, before that dies down and we forget about it? Maybe it's an environmental thing. Maybe it's a social thing. Maybe it's an issue of crime. Maybe it's about the way people are treated in a certain area. It appears that until something affects us directly, deliberately, right?
Now you're talking.
So, anyway, listen to you, man. I mean, I'm interested.
No, but when you say that, I was just about, you know, to make a suggestion that that's the case. Unless it knocks on our individual door, it doesn't seem to affect us directly. It's like, in other words, well, you know, yeah, so be it. You know, I guess that's the way it should be. But think of your rights being deprived. I mean, you know, you all, when you live in, wherever you live in this world, you have to think of what your civil rights are. And to know also when they are being violated. Because if not, you are not getting a justified life. You are being shortchanged big time. But the problem is not enough people research. And there's 3 or 4 different type of people, you know, they got some votes, for instance, and leave it all up to the politicians. That's one bunch. You got another one that don't care where the wind blows from. So, you know, they ride with punches. Then you have another one probably who cares, but they're in a minority that never seem to organize themselves as an opposing force. You see, what I say is that, you know, we have a duty to fight down spiritual wickedness in high and low places as a human being. Because if you don't have that in you, things get nasty around the world. That gets back to all about village raising a child and all this type of thing. It means that everyone have to come center stage, because you own a part of Cayman. If you're a Caymanian, you own part. You have a right here to these things. And when I see that it's not being paid attention to, it makes me wonder, big question, why? If you're not getting it from the people who is in charge and been delegated to do so, it simply means that we should organize ourselves. But that is so much harder done than said, because Caymanians have been so divided. They haven't had a fight for anything over the last 50 years. Everything kind of so partially dropped into our lap. So, you know, we're all at sea to that extent, where it don't seem like we can combine our forces and stand on common ground for certain things, you know. And a lot of this thing could be done with just a stroke of a pen. That's all it takes. But the will, if you leave it all up to the politicians, remember, you know, they are only as good also, you know, as the people that surround them, you know. They need to be pressured into doing things that matters to the general populace. If they're not doing it right out, they need to be pressured to do so. That's what workers do for bosses. We are the bosses, you know.
Are we?
People is the boss. Well, by rights, I mean, maybe the shoe is on the other foot. Maybe the car is in front of the horse. But supposedly, that's where it's at. But that gets back into whatever it is, you know, whether it's right or wrong, whether how abuse it is being done. It remains, the truth remains to be what it is. You can't call a lime a lemon. It's got to be just one. So when we have something that's due, we need to be able to get it by the people we elect, or pressure them to do so. And consumer protection is very important to developing countries, and especially a developing country.
Yeah, but talk is cheap, right?
Well, not on this phone. I know what you're saying. Yes, so true. But again, where do you start?
It's going to be interesting to see where, maybe we've always started to recognize it. It's going to be interesting. I think we're going to see a number of things unfold. There might even be some public pundits that have been...
I got faith, I hope that it's not a matter of the more things change, the more stay the same. I got confidence that the new government will do things.
I do too.
If not, listen, we may not get the fruit right when you want to eat it, but we will, hopefully, this is what people vote for, is for positive change. So I'm just saying that, more people need to be concerned in the destiny and the affairs of the country.
Right.
Period.
Hands down, man. But it comes to us, as you say, us as the people, maybe the voters first to lead by example, but us as a people to come together and work. We are, well, you know what? Let me leave that be.
Yeah, I know.
Thank you, man.
Look, you don't want to see it get too hot.
No, that's not a problem, Trust me.
Trust me. Remember, you can also catch fire. All right,
well, boss,
you take care. All
you
right,
too, man. Always a pleasure. Thanks, huh? Cool. All right, let's take a quick break, pick up the news. When we come back, we invite you to call and share your thoughts. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Follow Radio Cayman on Twitter. All the latest information, breaking news, community events, and more. Follow us at twitter.com/Radio Cayman.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Shanda Gallego from Radio Cayman's newsroom. Government reported results from 215 COVID-19 tests on Friday, with one coming back positive, a traveler who tested positive following routine screening. They will remain in isolation until considered recovered. The total number of COVID-19 vaccines administered to date is 65,991. Turning to international news now, the Australian government has been accused of racism after threatening 5-year prison sentences for citizens who breach a temporary ban on travel between India and Australia. From today, people who have been to India in the past 14 days will be banned from entering Australia due to the concerns over India's growing coronavirus pandemic, which saw almost 400,000 cases in a single day on Sunday. In a statement Saturday, Health Minister Greg Hunt said anyone who ignored the new restrictions would face 5 years imprisonment, a fine of $66,600, or both. The ban expires on May 15th, but could be renewed. TikTok has finally appointed a new permanent chief executive 8 months after its former leader called it quits as the United States was threatening to ban the app. The company on Friday announced that it had named Xiaoxi Chu as CEO. He joined the company earlier this year as chief financial officer of ByteDance, TikTok's Chinese owner. He had previously been a top executive for a Chinese smartphone maker, according to his LinkedIn profile. Vanessa Pappas, who previously served as TikTok's interim head, is moving to the role of chief operating officer of TikTok. Those are your latest headlines here on Radio Cayman. I'm Shanda Gallego.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
Talk today.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back, and thank you so much for your thoughts, your opinions, comments, and your calls as we go right to the phones. Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, good afternoon, Dwayne.
How are you today, man? Good afternoon to you.
Okay. Yeah, well, speaking about the vaccine shot, yeah, when it first came out, I kind of hesitated because I asked Dr. Lee if there were any after effects, like say like a year afterwards, and he said he didn't know because they were testing it. So that's why I waited before getting mine. I have to go back to get my second one pretty soon now. The thing that really concerned me about the importance of getting the shot was hearing about the after effects of people who did get COVID-19. The after effects from after people who had it were long term and they were very serious. So that's what made me decide then that I think it would be very important for me to accept that the vaccine will stop me from getting it, and also by that happening, then I won't have to face these long-term after effects
if I could get it. Thank you very much, Dave.
All right, thanks very much, man. And let's go to the other line. Welcome, good afternoon. Thanks for calling. Hello, good afternoon.
To you. Good afternoon to you, Starling.
Hey, good afternoon, sir. How are you today?
Just fine, thank you.
Okay, thank you for calling.
I'll just say this quickly.
Yes, sir.
I say what I have to say. The COVID will not take a year to kill you. I don't think so. It'll be a lot quicker than that. So, take the vaccine. A lot of things we had to do, mandatorily, wear a mask. It inhibits your breathing seriously, especially those who have some sort of a breathing problem and all. We all know that. But you wore a mask. You had to get into certain places, you had to. And to go about, you had to. It was an offense, legally an offense. So, therefore, the wishes of the vast majority, I told you that the other day when I called, and I remain immovable from that point. I stick with that. I will not be moved. I will not even bother to debate it with anyone. The wishes of the vast majority of a populace or of a people must prevail over the wishes of a small minority at all times, especially in these very, very serious times. These are very serious times. I don't, people understand how serious this threat is. Every day you can hear it. 407,000 cases one day in India. So I will not even bother to dignify anyone. I don't care who it is. Could be the most brilliant professor in the world to argue that point. That is how it must be with me. Today is 186 years since a very important incident took place. How many people know what that incident was?
Very few of us have really the recall of history nor even the respect for it, sir, and that's unfortunate. Even sometimes we myself.
I'm sure you know, don't you?
Rightly to your question, no, I don't recall. 166, so May the 3rd.
I will tell you what it is. It's 186 years today since that very important document that the British governor of Jamaica, Lord Sligo, wrote and brought here the afternoon before on the 2nd of May. Today's the 3rd, isn't it?
May the 3rd, yes, sir.
And Captain Pack read that out on the steps of the old courthouse, which is now the museum, on this day. How important that day, and all that is forgotten in our history. I don't know how many of our teachers even know
yes,
this,
sir.
or even it comes to their mind. Just think about that for a moment. That document, we call it the abolition document, but we know what it was. I talked about it the other day when I was more or less insulted and berated on your radio station, but it doesn't matter to me.
Well, apologies for that, but I don't think you were intended to be insulted or berated.
As it is and as it was. Remember something that young man talked about a year from now. I'm glad he decided to take it. We don't know what will happen a year from now, how the situation might evolve. We didn't know a year before the COVID what would be at the start of last year. We didn't know where we would be a year from January when the new year rolled in. No, we did not. It was a vastly different Cayman. Evolved in that year. So let's think about that. Do things to be on the safe side. We just elected some people. Are we going to complicate that again by making committees to watch over them as watchdogs and all this nonsense? I don't believe in that. We all went to the polls. Supposedly sensible people went and elected sensible people. We had, for the first time in a long time, opposition that's more experienced than the government. But that doesn't say that it won't work out to be a very good combination. They can keep them on their toes. That's what they're for. They're the watchdogs. The opposition, very, very well fueled here by very experienced people. So there we have it. Why go on complicate things and create some more committees, some more this. Let's put the district councils into place, and we will get things done. Remember, we are running a country that does not have, it's very, very unique when we talk about this what the gentleman was talking about here, to watch over the prices of things and the consumer protection. We don't have any direct income tax, so I don't know of any country that has consumer protection without direct income tax. So they can't control the prices. You can't. There's no way you can. But the regiment thing, great idea.
Well,
great
to you.
idea. It's not there to make war. It's there to be what it has to be and should have been a long, long time ago.
Your opinion, right?
Long time ago. My opinion,
Yes,
the
sir.
opinion of many.
Well,
We should never be without a regiment.
Mhm.
I thank this British governor immensely for encouraging it. And
but when Mr. McKeever proposed it, it wasn't well received, right? Remember?
well, it doesn't matter. Things
Yeah.
that weren't well received at one time are not well received.
Ah.
Let us move on.
Yes, sir.
We live in the
I appreciate-
present. We can't live in the future.
Yeah,
Thank
appreciate
you
it.
very much. Have a wonderful
You too,
day.
sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Respectfully, let's take the other callers. And to you, we apologize. You know, we want to get to everybody and not make them feel rushed and disrespected. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon, Sterling.
Afternoon. How are you?
The magic bullet.
Is there such a thing? Is there such a thing?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
A magic bullet.
Mm-hmm.
I said, Sterling, what would be the 3 to 5 things that people, you think that people can be looking for from this new government, that they say that the government was such a bad government and let's say they didn't do it? What do you think the 3 to 5 things? I'll give you 3. I mean, that's after 3.
3? What do you think they are?
Huh?
What would they be to you?
No, I want to tell me first.
No. I will voice that at some point, but not a second.
Okay, well, I'll give you when I'm getting it then.
Okay, fair enough.
Fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get my job. And that there is full of people. It looks like we're Hurricane Island there, but Lead Island. That's what the airport looks like today.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fear would do anything to people, you know.
Huh?
When you're afraid of stuff, boy, it'll drive you in many directions.
The Sterling would be very sad
Mm-hmm.
that any of that vaccine was to get expired here in the island and didn't get a use for it, you know, and knowing how England was, you know, kind of in the footnotes with that.
How many people rush to the supermarket to buy the expired milk?
A lot of them, I think, sometimes.
Maybe some special.
The feeding young babies, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Young babies, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, if they don't get to you before a lot of vaccines before the date, I hope and pray that they can get it to some other country in time so they can use it, because you know, extravagantness is came under the name. You know, we were extravagant.
I'm not quite sure I agree with that, but yeah, I can see very wasteful. Mm-hmm.
And you know, and I think these private doctors' office got to be start charging to get the vaccine in the future. So if government can go and lay them up on the table and it's free, I don't know, to its own, you know. To its
Yes,
own,
well.
You know, and I think if you was to try to stay in a more positive line of it and try to get yourself more knowledge about it, like everybody's calling saying, and you know, it was like a test, you know, because it was made so quick, and it's like it not not really fully sure themselves. But I say, well, if our first said the people that got it didn't die, well, I guess I won't die right now. Neither can I got my point. I want today. I hope I don't die. And
I pray not. Yes, well.
Yeah.
All right.
So, and just want to say this, darling, I went to 3 major grocery stores this morning after 7:30. I started. Let me tell you something. I have never had such a more unwelcome to those registers in the produce department than I have had in years that I have gotten this morning on a Monday morning. Everybody from the register right down to some on the floor was so cold. No thank you. You ask them a question, they bite you back and just walk away. I am like, why these people come so far to get a job and they have an honest behavior. If they're not happy with their salary and their living and everything, they should really talk to their boss and say, you know what, I'm going back home and I can't deal with this. But somebody and pick it up on us that trying to make your paycheck.
Well, it's you never know. We sometimes bring things with us that we don't knowingly wish. And other times it's just the life circumstances that cause us to.
Yeah, you can't be nice all the time.
Right.
When you're on the front line, man, you got to put your best out.
Well, the front line to me is reserved to when you're in the war in the trenches and you're looking, to be the first one sacrificed. For some reason we've conflated so many things that we've given it little value, but that's just my perspective. Words indeed are powerful and empowering, and they are killing and cutting. Hey, thanks, Mom.
Yeah, you go get some chocolate. Okay?
I will, I discovered that I do enjoy it. Thanks very much, Mom. Okay?
Bye-bye.
God bless. All right, I certainly enjoy the callers and sometimes even the provocative nature, but got to pause and take a short break. Would you indulge us and stay on the line, please?
Busy, busy, busy. Feel like there's not just enough hours in the day. Savannah Pharmacy, service to make your life easier. Now you can WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. And pickup is just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays. WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. Savannah Pharmacy, wholesome values with modern conveniences.
It's time for Sports Day. Join me, Rashana Hydes, contestant number 5 in the Miss World Cayman Islands pageant for Sports Day, Sunday, May 16th at the Truman Bodden Sports Complex at 3 p.m. My team, the Firebirds, and I will be competing for the best in tug of war, sprinting, relays, and more. You won't want to miss me, Rashana Hydes, and the Firebirds at the Miss World Sports Day. Admission is free.
Did you know that defective airbags can cause serious injury or even death if not repaired immediately? Right now, millions of vehicles around the world are under recall for faulty Takata airbags, and yours could be one of them. At Vamt Motors, our priority is to make sure the Toyota or Ford you drive is safe. So we are offering customers a free, fast, and easy airbag swap out if your vehicle was manufactured in 2016 or earlier. Find out if you need to have new airbags installed by emailing your Ford or Toyota vehicle's VIN or vehicle identification number to service@vamtmotors.com or stop by Vamp's Service Center or call us at 949-2245. Don't risk it. Get the airbags in your Toyota or Ford checked for free at Vamp Motors on Walkers Road.
We are in an age of exponential change. The world is experiencing a technology boom where innovation is at an all-time high. What does this mean for small island nations? How can we adapt to the emerging digital revolution? Join 900 delegates from 3 Caribbean countries at one regional event to tackle the theme, Global Digital Disruption, Threat or Opportunity. The virtual RF Economic Outlook Conference happens on May 6th. Register today at rfeoc.com.
There's nothing like the smell of freshly baked bread. The warm, inviting aroma, the fresh and natural taste. Just like homemade. 100% all-natural, additive-free bread.
Enjoy fresh and natural tasting bread from the iconic Caribbean bakery. Always delivered fresh to your favorite supermarkets island-wide. Forget the imported frozen and thawed and enjoy our freshly baked selection of quality breads and pastries.
Try our classic white and wheat sandwich breads, coconut and raisin breads, hamburger and hot dog buns, and a great selection of pastries. Feed your family fresh with Caribbean Bakery.
It's time again for the annual Meals on Wheels Orange You Glad Sunset Gala. So, break out your fancy orange outfit, find your little black dress, grab an orange bow tie, or simply show off your orange accessories. A night of elegance not to be missed on May 22nd at the historic Grand Old House, South Church Street. Enjoy cocktails, canopies, a 3-course meal, live and silent auctions, special guests, live entertainment by the John Gray Elite String Ensemble, and the talented Erica Asai. Dance the night away. Tickets are $200 per person, and tables for any size group can be reserved. Book your tables today by emailing info@mealsonwheels.ky or call 345-769 1974. Orange attire is encouraged. See you at sunset at the 8th Annual Meals on Wheels Orange You Glad Sunset Gala. Sponsored by Dolphin Point Club, Ogier, McAlpine, Calderwood, Health City Cayman Islands, and media sponsor Breeze FM and Radio Cayman.
Talk today.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back, and thank you for joining us. And certainly appreciate the opportunity that we can engage in all of our callers. Let's go to the phones. Welcome. Thanks for calling. Hello, good afternoon.
Sir Dwayne.
How are you, sir?
I am good holding on a long time, but patience is a virtue, they say.
Well, it is a virtue. It builds character.
I tell you, but on what I've heard so far with the vaccine, everyone have a good topic so far. And, I haven't taken the first, second, and or the third that I heard was soon to be implemented. We don't know how soon, but you already know when Bill Gates opened his mouth, anything can happen so far. So, my and the opinion of everybody is they due to their opinion.
Right.
Yeah. Now, first thing, the chief minister of the CDC, he had a previous interview where he was asked, "Have you taken the vaccine?" And he said, "No, he don't have no symptoms." So, if us, the Chihuahuas, haven't taken our vaccine, or don't, YRE is like a threat to us, and to wrap up things, to take it or else. It sounds like that when you don't have the chief minister haven't taken it. Even, I would say, I'm scared of it because we don't know the long-term effect.
Yeah.
Of this vaccine, what it does. Does the doctor or anybody tell you that it's made of this? It's going to cure in a certain time or whatever it is. What does it do to your DNA? What it does to your immune system? Are we supposed to build our immune system on scared of taking this? What are you doing? Because we don't know what they're going to be wrapping up into the atmosphere on us guys, because that's what they do with the stem cells and when the plane goes up in the atmosphere, what they let out there for us guys inhale and whatever, what's going to happen to our children if we don't set the ground barriers for them? It is sad that this is happening. I don't think we should be like, I'm not saying it's a threat, but it feels like it, even those who are on permits, that they're going to run to face to take this, else they're going to be out of the job. And just like what you said, I heard you mention it, that it would be even unfair on that process, which I do agree. Thumbs up, brother. It's unfair.
Yeah. You see, I'll say this carefully, but I say it deliberately, right? Because on a personal level, I love discussing with people who would share an opinion, and I never take it personal unless they make it a personal attack.
Right.
I just, in your opinion is your opinion. It's never, for me anyway, to take it otherwise than a person's opinion, right?
Yes.
The only time that I say, the only sort of things I ask of people when they're discussing these, as best as possible. Some people can't do it because that's the way they speak. Let it not be any cuss words, no expletives. Let's talk in that way. And secondly, let it not be, a conversation that devolves into animosity and you can't agree to disagree and meet another time, right?
Yes.
But this particular issue, on a personal level, with the wide net that I have, this is the most divisive, the most controversial, confusing, conflicting thing, right?
It is.
I mean, I've have people that, and I hope I'm not talking out of school, that we can talk about anything, right? Anything. Talk about each other and how we look, talk about the past, the present, but not this issue. This one always devolves into some argument, some hate.
Yeah, and I remember back in childhood days, primary school, getting the vaccine for mums, measles, chicken pox, and so forth.
Diphtheria and the works, right? Yeah.
We were scared as hell to get it, right? And, you taught by your parents.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and take the vaccine. I had mine from so and so and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But not to hear this from your great grand or whatever it is about this vaccine that you don't know anything about and so forth, and then this goes on. It's not scary. It's past detrimental.
Yeah. Yeah, man. It's unfortunate that it has come to this, man. But anyway, you know.
Yeah, I'll leave it next somebody else.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
Whatever, and I'll do touch base with you again.
Yeah, exactly, man. Stay strong. Let's stay together. All right, bro?
Yes, man. Bye.
Blessings, man. Respectfully, can we take another call? Good afternoon. Thank you for calling.
All right, good afternoon, Dwayne.
Mr. G, how are you today, man?
I'm very thankful, you know.
Yeah, man. Hey, listen, people like you make the society better, so thanks for your contributions, huh?
Thank you. Dwayne, I'm calling for two reasons.
Yes, sir.
Well, I was just listening to your last caller. When I was growing up, I didn't have a choice about vaccine.
We probably didn't, you know.
You know, I don't recall having a choice about vaccine now when I was growing up.
We probably didn't know any better either, but, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I took it when I was young, and it never did anything to me. And I took the COVID vaccine, and that never done nothing to me either. So that is one thing, and I would encourage everybody in the sound of my voice to please go and get vaccinated if you haven't already done so. And those who have the other beliefs, then albeit, you know. But doing one
yes,
thing
sir.
that we had the elections, we had this, we had that has kind of, kept us occupied, for the lack of a better word, very much occupied and not paying much attention to other things. But Dwayne, I drive a diesel truck.
Yeah.
And in the last month, I'm sure in the last month, the price of diesel has risen at the pumps about 70 cents
wow.
per gallon.
Okay.
I'm wondering what is causing this spike in the rates of fuel to this island. You know,
yeah.
you're paying at the pump now $4.40 something cents, I believe, or $4.30 something cents. If memory serves me right. Right?
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, why the sharp increase in diesel fuel?
But yeah, I'll be honest with you. You know, there are certain consumer products and certain things that I would take note of, and the price of fuel, I see it go up, and I have two choices. You know? I either pay it or I don't. Right? It seems that we have little or no, but I'm glad that you mentioned it to us because we are probably so willing to just accept things without protest.
Yeah, it's really it is really unbecoming. I mean, pretty soon you're not gonna be able to live in this little island. I mean, you know, when developers are allowed, I mean, some of the little places that I see them selling for $200,000, right? I mean, they're 2x4 units. Our children don't stand a chance, Dwayne. They don't stand a chance because it is only East End now with the big landmass, you know, from Borden Town going up with the big landmass, and that is getting bought up, you know, by persons who are going to develop for the top dollar. Yes, a man must be able to get a return on his investment, but to what? To what amount? I mean, if the prices are not controlled in Cayman here, and I hope that the new government, who has campaigned heavily, the independents, they campaign heavily on the fact that they are for the small man, for Caymanians, right? I hope that they're able to complete their mandate and try to see some reduction in prices for us, because pretty soon, like I say, it's going to be impossible to live in Cayman. I mean, you know, you're working from paycheck to paycheck to just to cover the utilities and the cost of food and your transportation up and down. You know, And there is no way, Dwayne, I can tell you right now without fear of contradiction, there is no way that the man who is making minimum wages in Cayman, which is ridiculously low at $6 an hour, right, for certain sectors, but there's no man that has a mortgage and making $6 an hour that he can survive. It is impossible.
We probably setting ourselves up for failure and creating a society, as you reference, and should cause us to at least consider and maybe make some adjustments where we become even more divided, no longer along color and ethnicity, but along economic lines. It would not be good if we don't have that level of social stability that we think we have.
Exactly. And I mean, it is really the people out there that is looking to be rich overnight. I mean, they don't give a toss about the little guy that comes out of school that's gonna work for a year and build himself enough equity in order to get himself a little apartment. They're not caring about those kind of people, right?
So what is the answer, do you think? I mean, if we've seen rising cost of living, we've seen housing prices and land not just being bid up beyond the reach of most people, but the potential for homelessness down the road. What is the answer? How do we address that? No, if we've acknowledged it, what are the proposed solutions to address it?
Well, there've got to be some protection for the consumer in Cayman. I mean, because it's a free-for-all and people are just taking advantage of the fact. And the first thing you can hear them, it's COVID. It's COVID. COVID-19 has caused the rise. That is a load of hogwash. We had these rise in prices long before COVID came to Cayman, long before COVID graced the world with its presence. So it shouldn't be about COVID. What happened is people got to stop being greedy. I mean, I know of a particular, and I won't go too far with this one because, but I know of a particular product, right? That I know a particular product that is sold right in Georgetown, okay, for $7. And I went to an establishment just last week, and that particular product, they had bought it from that store and was selling it for $20. Now, do you really need to make that kind of markup? Do you really need to make that? And that guy that in Georgetown is selling it for $7. He already got his markup in there. Okay. So I'm just showing you, because Cayman, there's some changes need to be made, bro.
So in that example, right, is it because the consumer isn't informed sufficiently? It's an educated consumer, is a wise consumer. But is it that the consumer isn't informed? Is it that the marketplace allows? Let me just use this word deliberately so that it can get people to think. The marketplace allows that level of price gouging or price inelasticity to take place.
It's allowed. It's allowed, and it's been allowed every day until we get some sort of, like I said, the consumer protection.
Okay.
We ain't gonna be any better off.
Fair enough. But take the ubiquitous corner store, right? We will go to that because it's convenient, right? We used to call it convenience store. We know that their hours and location, we're paying for that service. We want that thing now, it's right there, and we pay a little extra for it. Is it then that the product that's $7 in location A is now 3 times as much in location B? Because, well, it's where it is. It's the availability of the product, and is that part of the challenge?
I guess it could be. I guess it could be.
It's a lot of things, huh? Challenges, my friend.
Anyway,
man.
Thank you for your time. And
thank you too.
Your time, but,
not at all, man. Not at all. Appreciate it very much, right?
Take care, man.
Thank you. Hopefully catch up with you soon. Listen, I'm always amenable to taking as many calls as they put through. Let's take another one. Good afternoon. Welcome. Thank you for calling. Hello. Good afternoon. Hey, good afternoon. All right. Well, let's try the other one. Hey, good afternoon. Thank you for calling. You might just be the last caller.
Yeah, sure. Good afternoon, Rambo. I'm last caller.
You are, man. You won the prize.
Yeah, I should win that 40K.
Yeah. It should be CI.
I know, get to the point now. I'm starting different with the vaccine topic now, right? If you want to bother open up, the vaccine, simplicity. Right? You know, the tourism is our revenue main source, right? You know, she go. Right? And picking on the tourists, though. Tourists. Right? The tourists, though. Tourists. Whenever the border up, you know, about frustrated, stressed out. The herbs. That better. That you need to look into that now. You free that up. You know what I mean? Rest and recreation. Free up the herbs. So if I get I look myself, the vaccine, we're about to open up. I will stay slow, play it out.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So have a good day. I'll call tomorrow, Wednesday.
Well, whenever you want, you can, man. Thank you too, right? Respect, bro. All right. Thanks for teaching all who's sharing. Let's close this program out with a comment from one of our listeners who are sharing, who shared a view via electronic media. Says, I completely disagree with Mr. Mario Eubanks' comments earlier regarding, I say, the Constitution and human rights trump, they say, all other legislation forced to have an injection of an experimental genetic modifier therapy is tantamount to torture and something the Nazi German regime would undertake. It is completely unreasonable. The scientists do not know any future ramifications of said experiment. Facts are that COVID-19 has a 99.7% survivability rate. Well, let's get informed and involved and engaged, and let's be prepared to stand in the gap, as I would share that we are in a changing time. Well, it's only Monday, and it's the first Monday of this new month. As we enter the 5th of this year, a lot of things are going to unfold. Are we prepared to work collectively together and stand in a unified front to ensure that we maintain a very healthy, prosperous, and dynamic society, one where civil liberties, but also civility amongst us, championed and preserved? Are we going to move about in a society that is safe, secure, and one that is stable politically, economically, and socially, in a space and a place where our children can grow and have a wonderful, happy, healthy future? And we, as we age, God spares life, will feel that we endure a high quality, of life, a high standard of living that pays great respect to the service and sacrifice of our ancestors, those that have fought in real wars and have given of the ultimate sacrifice so that we can enjoy the freedoms that we have, freedoms to champion, freedoms to complain, freedoms to support our government, and freedoms to, otherwise to maybe cause certain actions to be questioned. Well, join us again tomorrow, God's willing, for more talk today right after the midday news and midday meditation, as we invite you to remember, not only to whom much is given, much is required, but it is incumbent upon each and every one of us to do our very best to make sure that we are making the very best contribution for the greater good. And sometimes the dissenting voice doesn't necessarily have to be the one that is not adhered to. Singing the chorus doesn't mean it's a good song. Until tomorrow, my friends, be blessed.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village. Convenient opening hours, including Sunday